So this is Asian comedian gets cancelled by his own community over racist jokes by Drew Almighty. Right, now let me preface this. I'm a huge advocate for free speech, alright? I don't think people should get cancelled for saying things we disagree with, including this guy for making racist jokes. However, I'm also a huge advocate of people not making lazy jokes like what this comedian has clearly done, right? Now, if you want a good example of a well-written comedy series, go watch Mind Your Language. It's well built up, the context makes sense, and yes, there's a little bit of racial elements in there, but yeah, it's all in the backdrop of them trying to learn English and not being able to put aside the differences for a couple of hours to learn English as a foreign language, for example. So, if you watch that series, you have to pity Mr. Brown over there. He's just trying to teach these foreigners English, alright? And there are many other shenanigans, but take a look if you have some spare time to, throw away. That's a good example of a well-made comedy, right? So on that backdrop, you might want to figure out what kind of a comedian this guy is. It really goes to show how lazy of a comedian this Asian comedian is, right?
Unfunny Asian comedian Hans Kim just went viral after joking that ICE wasn't going hard enough on black people.
My only problem with ICE is that they're going after every minority group except black people.
Now, first of all, for context, ICE is going around the US deporting people who are here in the US illegally. So honestly, that's an example of a lazy joke right there. If you guys missed it, I can replay it for a second.
Black people.
My only problem with ICE is that they're going after every minority group except black people.
And of course, with things being the way they are right now in this country, he received immediate backlash.
Did y'all feel all that hate? That was not a joke. That was just hate. Because there's nothing funny about wishing harm on another community.
Every joke has a bit of the truth in it. He wants them to solely focus on black people.
Because let's be real, wishing ICE would do more harm to the black community, which has historically been the target of government and law enforcement violence, especially in a time when ICE is already harassing, attacking, detaining, arresting, disappearing marginalized communities. So no, this isn't edgy or dark humor. It's tone deaf, dangerous, and a very clear example of how Asians are perceived as selling out other minority communities who get closer to whiteness.
People who bought into the model minority myth as a way to somehow align us with whiteness. It's also saying you're a good minority, therefore there must be a bad minority. Right?
But here's
Now, if you ask me, Asians are among the highest earners in the US. So if you only focus on economic contribution, yeah, that model minority kind of makes sense, right? But then again, other communities have contributed a lot to the United States, alright? So don't just look at money and cents. Alright, there are plenty of ways other minorities can contribute to the country.
the part about all this that really caught my attention. Yeah, black folks spoke up about this like we always do. But this time, his own community was calling his ignorance out.
Hans Kim, you can suck it. That line, give them more room to breathe, made my skin crawl.
And I respect that because it's very rare to see other communities publicly check their own when racism or discrimination is aimed at the black community. Usually it's silence, excuses, or it was just a joke. But this was...
I would say that's a very lazy joke, right? If you think it's a lazy joke because it's lazy, because it's racist, sure, right? But Gabriel Iglesias this comedian over here, managed to make a racist joke with black stereotypes because, in my opinion, his jokes weren't lazy, right? There's a build up to the punchline, and this guy just straight up shoot. No build up, no story. Just straight up, punch. Just throw the punchline out, right? And let me just show you this clip from Gabriel to contrast how lazy of a comedian this comedian is.
And I felt bad because Martin was like, bro, it's a new phone. I go, listen, Martin. I says, hey, don't worry, I got you covered, man. And so I said, listen, I'm gonna go get you a new phone. So we take a nice little trip to the mall, and we found an Apple store. And we get to the front, and there's a girl there with a clipboard, and they're always trying to, how can I help you? And well, we want to see about replacing my friend's phone. Did he lose it? I go, no, it's actually, it got damaged. Oh, what's wrong with the phone? I go, it kind of got wet. And then she looks at Martin, oh, did someone drop it in the sink? Like, no, not exactly. And she, oh, he dropped it in the toilet? I go, he wishes. She goes, well, we have a few in stock. Would you like a black iPhone or would you like a white iPhone? I said, well, you know, Martine and I have the same color iPhone. I said, we both have a white one. So I says, just so we don't have the confusion of always grabbing each other's phones, I said, Martin, would you mind getting a black iPhone? He goes, yeah, but does the black iPhone have Siri? And I'm like, what kind of a question is that? Why wouldn't the black iPhone have Siri, right? And then I started thinking, can you imagine if a black iPhone was really a black iPhone? You know, Martine gets in the car. Doom, doom. Siri, what's the temperature outside? Why don't you stick your head out the window? Doom, doom. Siri, talk dirty to me. You better not pee on me. Okay, I ain't like that white iPhone.
Different.
Asian American, the only valid reaction you should have to that video is disgust and, frankly, embarrassment.
At some point, I think you just hate black people. And you see these sellouts, you see these creators who sell out and pander to white people, and you wonder why.
But I'm Jew. Welcome to the channel. Please like and share the video. Don't forget to sub. Now, let's get into it.
My only problem with ICE is that they're going after every minority group except black people.
I hope you're starting to see my point.
I mean, you're trying to reduce crime. You're just giving them more room to breathe. But I understand. Can you imagine the shape you have to be in to deport black people? Yeah, I'm actually training for the 3-gun competition right now.
When you know the crowds he's playing to, whether it's Kill Tony or rural small town America, it's very clear that he knows exactly what he's doing with these racist jokes. And it really serves as another example of the Asian community getting as far away from black people as possible to be in the proximity of whiteness, which feels like has always been the case. And really, the black community and Asian community have always kind of been pitted against each other.
Historically, these two communities have been pitted against each other, leading to tension and discrimination, only to be further amplified by the media and even our history books.
Because for white Americans, especially early on in this country, the Asian population was seen as docile, accepting their role in society, assimilating, like becoming as white as possible, whereas the black community didn't do any of that. We built our own culture and lifestyle in America and never gravitated toward whiteness the way that immigrants did. It's not...
Well, I mean, black people gave us rap and many other things that are amazing in the US, from the US, for example. And if America truly aims to be the melting pot, as they claim to be, then how is assimilating one culture into another one? How is assimilating yourself to the dominant culture is gonna help, right? Sure, you need to compromise a little here and there, but you don't just throw the baby out with the bathwater, right? There's so many things great about all the other minority groups in the US outside of the economic contribution. All right.
The first time he's made this kind of joke about black folks, it's safe to say that Hans Kim is a bigot racial arsonist. Yeah, he's made his career off racist jokes about black people.
Come back to America and what do I see? Black Little Mermaid. One of the races that are known for being one of the worst at swimming.
Yeah, sure, black people are more likely to drown, but mermaids are fictional creatures that look like humans. So for the sake of just making shit up, mermaids can't drown. So what exactly are you getting at here? Is a fictional character, right? Besides, just to go off on another tangent, swimmers tend to have darker skin tones. So casting a black woman to play the Little Mermaid, honestly speaking, is closer to reality of what happens when someone spends their whole life underwater. Right? Again, mermaids are fictional characters, so reality, can be a bit fast and loose here and there.
This is gonna get people killed. Look at me, mommy, I'm a mermaid. LaQuisha, no!
Everything he said was stereotypical racism. A little girl, LaQuisha, no, though? Like, come on, man. For white people to laugh at.
Grab onto this chicken leg.
Racism on top of racism. Oh, my thoughts are a little too ignorant. I'm a Yeah, we don't need to add fuel on the fire. Just call out this one racist asshole that's doing these jokes and tap dancing for racist white folks.
What's the most conservative thing about you?
I hate certain minorities.
Whoa!
Well, the question was, what's the most conservative thing about you? And his response was, I hate certain minorities, which is just saying I hate other people of color. If that's not tap dancing and kissing ass to racist white folks, I don't know what is. Because he's basically saying what they want to hear or can't really say without being called racist. And I hate when people of color do this.
What's your top 3
Well, get ready for more racist jokes, I guess.
minorities that you hate? Starting with number 3.
Sri Lankans.
We were really concerned you might just drop the N-word right from the top there. Right from the number 3 position. Then
And even them teasing the N-word. Like, shut the fuck up.
number 2, least favorite group of immigrants to Hans Kemp.
Native Americans.
What are the odds that he's ever even come in contact with the Native American to say that he hates Native Americans? Native Americans, who have been the most victimized people on this land other than black people. They're poor and dirty. That's crazy.
There's one to go, everybody. The number 1 least favorite minority group, according to Hans Kim, is
The blacks.
Yeah, that explains every bad black joke he made.
With black people on that stage, like, they don't get up and walk out right now. What was even funny about that? These aren't even jokes. This is him just saying racist shit to a racist crowd. But like I said, it was really refreshing to see his own community be insulted by those jokes and call him out for it.
Asian American, the only valid reaction you should have to that video is disgust and...
Yeah, I'm kind of disgusted at how lazy his jokes are. There's no build-up. There's only random punching shit. There's no substance. Alright? I mean, I'm seriously asking you guys to compare his jokes to the comedy of the past. And then you tell me just how lazy it is. Right?
frankly, embarrassment. And now, when Asian communities are under attack, the fact that we're still throwing the Black community under the bus shows how desperate some of us are to cling to this proximity to whiteness as our saving grace, as if that is going to keep us safe and protect our families when it never has before. A lot of us talk about how Asian discrimination and racism is downplayed, but it shouldn't come as a surprise when so many of us are so quick to disavow any solidarity with other communities of color. If you are part of an immigrant family, I know you know how rampant anti-Blackness is in our world. And to see it perpetuated in the name of humor and an unfunny joke is embarrassing.
If you know anything about Hans Kim, you're not surprised. This is the same man who made this comment about The Little Mermaid. This is the same man that ranked his least favorite racial groups or ethnic groups. At some point, I think you just hate Black people. You might be wondering, why would someone do this? Especially since a lot of these jokes are very tired. You know, we heard them in the early 2000s.
It's probably because he's just lazy, right? Besides the fact that he's racist as fuck, he's lazy, right? Racist people, they are very lazy as well.
Might be wondering, like, well, why are we still doing this in this day and age? And I mean, he might actually like hate Black people. I'm assuming at this point he does, because that's just his material over the same years. He makes $300,000 a year, maybe more now, to say these mediocre racist jokes. So the theme of people of color aligning themselves with whiteness can lead to capitalistic gains, which we've talked about over and over. It's true. And you see these sellouts, you see these creators who sell out and pander to white people, and you wonder why.
That's 100% true, even in the black community. You have these platforms of bootlickers, Anton Daniels, Candace Owens, Hodge Twins, the Cartier family, where their content revolves around demonizing the black community. They have no smoke or nothing to say about white people at all, ever. Just the black community, black fatigue, this, that, and the third. And they do it because they gain this huge audience of white people, white conservatives, racists.
And they also get paid very well. Maybe that's a bigger reason why. You know, money corrupts, alright?
Agree with everything they're saying, that love that they're saying it, and can go in their comments and agree with all the hateful rhetoric that they're spreading against black people. They get a huge following and make a lot of money, all from driving the bus back and forth over the black community.
There's money. There's money to be made for them. And I've said it before on this channel many times that I find comedians who make these types of very shallow, tired, racist jokes are not actually comedians. They are not talented enough to be.
Yeah, they're not comedians. They're not jokes. Nothing is witty about it. Nothing is creative about anything that Hans Kim said. Nothing is even funny. He's just saying racist shit. There's no entertainment value to it unless you're racist and just want to hear racist jokes.
But his main venues are all small towns and small cities, and those make racist white people laugh the most. And you can see it all the videos. Who's chuckling the most? It's the racist white people. It's the obvious, don't make racist jokes. The only thing I want to leave Asian Americans, especially Asian American creators, if you're talking about topics, think before you drag another group in. Is it really relevant to the point I'm making? You know, we have our own issues, the model minority myth, the pandering to whiteness. Like, we have a lot of those issues that you can talk without actually dragging anyone else in or dragging someone else down. And that's the thing that I think a lot of Asian creators need to be more cautious about. Do you really need to bring up another community to make your point?
You can talk about things independently. I mean, I tried to make the case that this comedian, if you want to call it that, if you want to call him that, is very lazy. And he's getting paid hundreds of thousands of dollars for it. Right? Maybe if you don't have all day, maybe just learn to build up your jokes and then pack the punchline with it. Right?
Because I think that's where a lot of us get into trouble.
He was cooking too.
Hans Kim, you can suck it. I'm gonna be an unfiltered bitch for a second. I am so tired of the men in my community. Racism I've seen from Asians, the racism I've seen from East Asians, the racism I've seen from East Asian men is enough to send me into a psychosis. He is plain, dry, and simple a racist to his core. That line, give them more room to breathe, made my skin crawl. And all that word vomit about ICE and black people and Latin people, just it was performing assimilation in real time. Black community has a saying for this called tap dancing. I don't want to use that because I feel there's historical reference there. So I feel like for Asians, it's we're serving tea to them. You're literally a master's lapdog. Asian Americans have historically been racialized as emasculated in America under white supremacy, but some small dick lapdogs respond to that humiliation by trying to reclaim power and masculinity through proximity to power, through proximity to whiteness, and distancing themselves from blackness. In racial triangulation, Asians are valorized in comparison to black people, but still kept as foreign to white. Him being racist towards black and Latin and every other community actually is not subversive, is not funny, it's compliant and assimilatory, which is why it's so fucking cringe and embarrassing. Asian Americans are capable of solidarity, accountability. They are capable of complexity and critique. But some of these fucks just have to go.
I mean, that was so well said and to the point directly to her community. I feel like there was nothing for me to say about it, except her point where she said that the Asian community has basically been seen as emasculated, docile, and assimilated or assimilating to whiteness, basically. That's all facts, and that definitely has been weaponized and used against the black community. As these are examples of good people of color. This is how y'all need to behave.
But I do think that Asian Americans have more advantages than Black Americans because simply you all didn't have to go through the systemic oppression that African Americans have had to go through due to slavery.
Yeah. Absolutely. I think the Asian Americans that wouldn't be here right now and that would disagree are the people who bought into the model minority myth, because that was basically brought on to us as a way to somehow align us with whiteness.
Sure, historically and to a very large extent today, Asians enslave one another, blacks enslave one another, which I don't know if that makes it worse or what, alright? Look, we are only focused on blacks being enslaved by whites in the US here, right? Because we're talking about the US, this video is from the US, right? And then after freeing the slaves, the blacks have to deal with the KKK and many other bullshit, alright? Asians may have had better, I mean, you're talking about 1890s America here, right? Treatment wise. Still, they should probably stand by one another given that they are both minorities in the US. You know, they also help enrich the US to make it what it is today in their own ways, right? And it would be a good idea to just, you know, preserve them to the best of our abilities.
The sense that, yeah, we're accepted for because we're smart and we were hardworking and whatnot. And although that's not that's all true, it's also saying you're a good minority, therefore there must be a bad minority.
Yeah, in my book, there's no such thing as a bad minority. Only a minority that's in trouble, right? And to be honest, black people are kind of that minority in trouble because look at how poorly are they doing in the US today, right? Yes, they have made some progress, but you know, more needs to be done, right?
Right. All of this kind of brings back the same conversation that black people have been having. When it comes to other people of color in these immigrant groups, it feels like black Americans really don't have any real allies. Where it seems like a lot of these immigrant groups, a lot of these other people of color will throw the black community under the bus or use us as a stepping stone for their own success, to enrich themselves, to get closer to whiteness because it's rewarding to get as far away from the black community as possible. So even when these immigrant groups talk about their successes often compared to the black community, without acknowledging any of the struggles, trials, setbacks, policy or laws that we've had against us that prevented us from building wealth as a community, any of that.
Black American people, can y'all please stop talking about what the white man is doing to hold y'all down? I got friends who couldn't afford tissue growing up, so they used to go in the bush and use a leaf. Where are they from? Country, Jamaica. And all of them just bought their girl Benzes this year. Life in other countries is harder than it is in America. Immigrants come here and have it harder than you as an American, and they still make it happen. They buy more land than you, and they don't even go here. They're not from here.
Are we like the gold standard for what everybody compares themselves to? Like, is your whole hustle and grind centered around being able to one-up Black Americans? And why are the only Black Americans that you know that are in your circle that you talk to bottom of the barrel complaining about slavery, white supremacy, not doing anything, not buying businesses, not owning businesses? Like, why is those the only type of Black people that you know? I look at, like, if your circle of friends or your circle of whoever you associate with is on the bottom, that tells me about who you are, because birds of a feather.
When I heard how much...
Yeah, have you heard of the small numbers effect? You know, hasty generalization. Now, on another note, America is 250 years old in 2026, and the Civil Rights Act only passed in 1964, which is 62 years ago as of 2026. So meaning to say, America spent 75% of its existence oppressing black people in the form of slavery. Now, just like a bad habit, it will take a long time to get rid of that bad habit. And the bad habit is white supremacy. If you want to replace the bad habit with a phrase that makes sense, or more specifically, enslaving black people, right? So some assistance would be nice.
He made. I definitely had to look it up. He was featured on Caleb Hammer's Financial Audit Show when he really got into how much he made a year, which was legit $300,000 to tell those racist, lame-ass jokes to small-town America in front of racist white people.
What do you do for a living?
Stand-up comedy.
You're mostly known for Kill Tony. You don't make any money in Austin.
I make a little bit, but most of my money is from the small towns and cities that I'm pilfering.
All right.
So come to find out, this guy can't manage his finances. You see my point? That this guy is kind of lazy and stupid. I mean, he can't even stick to a budget. He's lazy enough to not make a budget. That's why he ended up on this show. I mean, if you don't know who's Caleb Hammer, he's the guy that schools people for financial boo-boos here and there. So yeah, if you can end up on this show despite earning $300,000, I don't know what to say at this point.
Well, how much money do you make on the road?
Probably like an average weekend is like 10,000.
That's incredible.
$10,000 a weekend for those lame ass non-energy having jokes.
10,000.
That's 520,000. Wait, that $120,000 a year. So I don't know how you managed to bungle that up. You must be pretty stupid if you managed to do that.
And that's most weekends?
Yeah.
52 weeks of the year.
I mean, I've been taking a break now, but last year I was working pretty much every weekend, running myself ragged.
How many weeks do we think a year that we can average out that 10K a weekend?
I make like 300K, so
300K. You still managed to bungle up your finances. How did you do that?
30 weekends.
Dude, that's insane.
Crazy. Racism pays. We've always known that, though.
And this is exactly why black people stepped away from this fight, because at the end of the day, you could say that these are dark humor jokes all you want, but the truth is, every joke has a bit of the truth in it. And the fact that he said they're not going after black people shows us not exactly that they're not going after black people, but he wants them to harm black people. He wants them to solely focus on black people. The problem with this administration is that even though black people blatantly said that they will go after all of you guys if you guys vote for this, right? People didn't believe it because black people have been the sole target for so many years, and they were absolutely ecstatic for black people to get something negative from this administration, not realizing that their oppression is tied into ours. So the truth is that even when people don't support ICE, right, their support solely comes from their group of people being hurt, not the fact that it's hurting everybody else. They would be perfectly fine if black people were the sole targets. So many people would be perfectly fine if black Americans were the sole target of ICE assaults and violence.
It's kind of like as long as black people are hurt, we'll do better. And that's just not the case. And I talked about this whole thing a few months ago when Keke Palmer's show Southern Fried Rice received a bunch of backlash because at a time when the Asian community voted to end affirmative action, she chose to center a show around an Asian girl adopted by a black Southern family attending a HBCU instead of centering that show around any of the black characters or black experiences there, which was tone deaf, especially for what was going on at the time. Asians fought to end affirmative action, claiming black people were taking their spot.
Since the Supreme Court struck down affirmative action in college admissions, questions remain over how this will affect students moving forward and who will be most impacted.
I was overjoyed with the decision. I believe that the Supreme Court got this right and that affirmative action needed to go. Obviously, this doesn't guarantee us entry into any college we want, but what this does guarantee me is that I know that everything that happens is not because of something I can't control.
They take away opportunities from certain ethnic groups in order to benefit others, which is completely racist. And Asian Americans such as me and my peers.
And because of that, Asian acceptance has gone up and black acceptance has gone down, especially at Ivy League colleges. Don't be fooled. All that means is these colleges no longer have to accept qualified black people, so they won't. As this points out, Southern Fried Rice, Harvard records increase in Asian students and drop in black students. The shift mirrors the trends at other elite schools after a ban on affirmative action. And really that joke reinforces what a lot of people feel about this whole ICE situation, that if ICE was attacking the black community, nobody would be in the street protesting for us. Nobody would be putting their lives on the line for us. There wouldn't be this big outcry about how wrong and inhumane this is.
Did y'all feel all that hate? That was not a joke. That was just hate. Because there's nothing funny about wishing harm on another community. It's nothing funny to wish that harm comes to another community. The black Americans in the audience were not laughing, and this man clearly is not living up to his stereotype of being smart, because there's no such thing as an undocumented black American.
Yeah, with regards to him not being smart, I mean, the clip from Caleb Hammer already shows that this guy is terrible with money. Right, what more do you need to show that this guy isn't very smart?
Black American community never wish harm on another community, but the hate is always out there towards Black Americans. No one's even thinking about Asians.
I really think it's dope that Han's own community called out his lameness. The racist, unfunny jokes, the tap dancing for racist white people to cling to that proximity to whiteness. I think these are important conversations to have, especially right now. And all communities of color really should be calling out the sellouts in their own communities. That needs to happen more. Just like the Latinos need to be calling out their fellow Latinos for supporting Trump. It would be dope if one day we were all able to respect each other's differences, get on the same page, and work together.
The fight to end racism, violence, hate, and disparities remains a multi-generational movement.
But shout out to my channel members. Thank you so much for supporting. And thanks for watching. Y'all let me know what you think about all this in the comments. Also, make sure you check out the next video. And don't forget to follow me on Instagram for behind the scenes and life stuff. And I'll catch you next time.
Alright, so I guess we can call out comedians for making lazy jokes first. I mean, they like to hide behind, it's just a joke veneer, but their jokes are lazy as hell, right? If you want, again, a good shout out, if you guys want a good example of what is a well built up joke, just watch the comedy of the past, alright? Mind Your Language, for example. So, on that note, I hope you guys have enjoyed this video and I'll see you guys next time. Bye bye.